What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. As always, I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm on the mic.
And it's just over 80 days to summer. It feels like we were just saying the other day that spring was coming up. Here we are, and just the same, we're going to snap our fingers. It's going to be summer. It's going to be good times. Things are going to come together. But this can also be a shock for people because you don't want summer to pop up, start taking off layers. You're like, I'm not where I want to be, and you feel uneasy because of it. Instead, we're going to show you 10 tangible ways to get after it. We included some unique ones that we haven't mentioned before because we really want to make sure that we're approaching this from different angles and finding different ways and things that we believe will motivate everyone. What's awesome is we had like a simulated summer by living in Florida, then coming back to the snow and then being excited to summer again. It really highlighted to me what's important and what to prioritize, and even shredding down for that event, shredding down for the summer coming up. This episode is going to be incredible, so you are in for a treat. Before we jump in, we just have one small favor to ask. You know, we keep it real here. We've never done an ad. We get probably 10 emails for ads a day. We'd probably be a lot less, we'd be a lot better off if we took that money for the ads. Instead, we actually pay money out of our own pockets to host this podcast. We get $0 from this podcast, and we really do it at the end of the day because we love helping people become fit, healthier, and happier, and also having the opportunity to coach more people one-on-one. But if you love this episode, you listen to it every week, you listen to a ton of the episodes, if you can just take 2 seconds and leave a review on either iTunes or Spotify. We personally read every single review that comes from iTunes, and we love the incredible things everyone says, so thank you for taking the time to do that. On Spotify, you just literally click the star rating. You are good to go, boom, and that will help us get this podcast out to more people. Another great thing we would ask is if you love it, you've already left a review, share this podcast to your story, share it with a friend, inspire someone else, help them become fitter, healthier, and happier, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Now we're going to jump into our episode with our 10 ways to shred down for summer, and number one is one of my favorites, and that is to keep moving. So what actually inspired this episode is I was reading an article about Laird Hamilton. He's a surfer. He's older now, I believe in his 50s or 60s, still looks fantastic. Dude shredded, still getting after it. He's living that surfer lifestyle. I'm not very familiar with surfers, but I thought it was awesome, and I love learning from different minds. And one of his biggest tips was just to keep moving. So he said a big part of it is about having enthusiasm, about being driven to do something. I'm driven by my mission, the ocean, the waves, and being around younger people. When you hang out with younger people or your kids, you try to keep up with them. There's a whole bunch of pieces to it, but you have to believe you can first and foremost. And that concept of being excited, and me and Kyle have been talking about this more and more. We're both 27 now, and we're getting 2 different versions of friends. It's like diverging, and some friends are down for anything. They're feeling fantastic. They're getting healthy, and I'm starting to notice life catch up with other friends. Other friends are saying, I can't do this because I don't want to get hurt, or I have a bad back, or my knee's not what it used to be, or I don't have the energy to do that anymore, man. And it's so sad. Instead, for me and Kyle too, we're always trying to do crazy things, kind of like trampoline parks, BMX parks, mountain biking, volleyball. But just by moving, having that enthusiasm, being around people that push you and inspire you, whether it's someone who's always going on these crazy runs and invites you, or these hikes, or going to the gym with that person who's a beast, or going out and playing sports like volleyball. We booked a Spartan race for our team. It's going to be me, Kyle, Coach Jason, and Coach Armando. We're going to be doing one of those tough mudders. Sorry, not a Spartan race. So we're going to be rolling around through the mud, doing a 5K, climbing these crazy obstacles. But case in point, when you just keep going and you just have that attitude of progressing forward, of just bursting through problems and staying active, staying busy, it's incredibly inspiring, and it makes staying shredded that much easier. Even instead of me going to pick up my car while I was having some work done and being dropped off there or calling the shuttle, I'm like, this is a 36-minute walk. This is an opportunity for me to walk and listen to a podcast. The more you can just celebrate moving and activity is a good way to stay young, to stay shredded, to feel amazing, to be inspired. And I really believe that the days Kyle was just sick, I think he can speak to this himself, but the days you sit around and do nothing, you're more tired than ever before. You don't feel rested. And obviously he's sick, so it's different, but there's days where I've just done nothing. I'm like, what did I do? I feel horrible. I feel lethargic. I feel so uninspired. The days where I'm the busiest and I'm like running around from place to place, you feel incredible. You don't have a second to say you're tired, and you're burning a ton of calories. You're being active. You're celebrating what your body can do. So number one is a big one to me, and that's just keep moving.
Honestly, Absolutely incredible. And that just brings me right into number two, which is just getting more sun. I mean, it is so motivating when you see that sunlight, when it's hitting your skin. One of the greatest things you can do in the morning is just catch some sunlight as it's first coming up. Andrew Huberman's talked about that and just the amazing benefits for your body. But even just the fact that it helps you relieve stress, it actually helps you with your sleep, which a lot of people don't realize. It helps just have stronger bones, helps you keep the weight off. Like, there's just nothing greater. And I love, catching sunrises. I love catching sunsets, but like, just really try to take advantage of it. And if you happen to work like in an office or whatever it is, like, try to find time within the day to squeeze in up to 30 minutes of sunlight. I guarantee you it'll help you in so many different ways. And it's something that will pay you back over and over again. And there's just no greater feeling.
Yeah, a great way to maximize like your sleep rhythms, your circadian rhythms, and just be in line with the day is to experience that sunrise and that sunset. One of the best advice I've got was to beat the sun up in the morning. If you can beat this gigantic force and ball of fire that is the sun that charges everyone, that is just amazing on your skin. If you can beat that thing up in the morning, that's a great way to start the day. So I love making a habit of trying to do that and getting up earlier and going out and actually going on a walk at that time when that's happening is such an incredible feeling. And you feel your body naturally waking up with it. You see the world waking up, you hear the birds making their noises. It's such an incredible feeling, and you feel more in line with that day. The same with the sunset. When you experience that going down, you get tired, maybe you do a little bit of a yawn. It's a great thing for the body, and getting more sunlight is incredibly motivating. It's going to motivate you to stay leaner, to stay more fit, to do all these great things. And even just making a point, my number third tip was to spend more time in nature. It's hard to do something that isn't productive when you're in nature. Like, of course, you could say, oh, I can go camping and sit around having beers and hot dogs. That's true. But for the most part, when you're in nature, you're doing things. Like an example, you could be at the ocean surfing. You could be running around on the beach. You could be walking on the beach. You could be going for a hike in the forest. Whatever it is, just being outside is amazing. There's just so much to do, so much to see. It's always an experience. Me and Kyle always joke that it's just so good to get out of the house. There's nothing at home but the same old things with the people you always see. And just being out is that opportunity to meet someone you've never met who could change everything, to see something crazy cool, to anything like that. It's just a good way to get inspired and be around other people. And by being in nature, and how this applies to getting shredded, is when you're out there, you're doing activities, you're burning calories. It can be more exciting, and it can give more joy and purpose than just being like, I'm going to be shredded. I'm going to do 2 hours of Stairmaster every day. Like, it's hard to stick to that. That's not a motivating incentive. Instead, if you're like, I'm going on my hikes, I got my volleyball league, and I'm just out in the sun. Like, when we play volleyball, we can play for 3 hours and just burn a ridiculous amount of calories. Doesn't feel like work. It gamifies it. It's fun. And the more you can actually spend more time outside in nature, the more motivated you'll be to maintain a lean and healthy physique. Whereas most activities at home, doesn't matter how you look or you feel, you can just turn on that TV, microwave something, and that's kind of what you're working against.
Yeah, I find when I'm running around from one thing to another and doing all this great stuff, it's just like, it's hard to not be motivated. It's hard to like not be putting in that consistent work that you want to. And number 4 is just having those events that hold you accountable, that have you looking forward, that, just leave you wanting to do all this great stuff. And even when Josh texted me the other day and he's like, hey, Tough Mudder, you in? I'm like, absolutely, like, let's do this. And we just started putting everything in the calendar for summer, for kind of the end of summer and everything. And as he mentioned that we're doing that, I'm like, okay, so and here's a few things I got to do. I got to tighten up a little bit. I got to be a bit lighter. I'm starting to look at some things. Of course, it's a team event, it's fun and stuff, but like, there's so many things that you could like start to plug in, whether it's like someone wanting to do a half marathon, whether you wanted to hike in some really cool spot that you've never hiked in, that will require you to put in that cardio, to eat really well. Like, that's what's really cool about these specific events, is that it's one of those things that can come full circle. So I'll give you an example of, doing a Tough Mudder. I'm going to have to be a little bit lighter, just knowing that I'm going to need my cardio to be really solid. My recovery is going to have to be on point. And, just there's a lot of these things, and a lot of, for someone who wants to go do a massive hike that's going to require a ton, you're going to need to focus on your nutrition. You're going to have to put in that cardio every day. You're going to have to just like, focus on recovery. Like, it just kind of forces you, which is cool, because instead of like kind of being like, I got to get shredded just to look out on a beach, you have other things that's motivating you to just be an overall healthy and well-rounded person.
Events will lock you in if you're like for instance, a physique show. If you're going up on a stage, you got to get to a point of being shredded where you're comfortable presenting yourself on that stage. And it can be the same with a vacation, like knowing you have a vacation coming up and saying, I want to ask for that vacation, or I want to drop 10 pounds, or as long as it's a healthy and reasonable goal, it can be very motivating. It can really secure you into it. And having a plan is a great way to get shredded as well. When you're aware of the times, I know a lot of people like to start shredding mid-April into May. That's when you'll see a lot of that going on. And we're actually gonna be doing something with our clients, only for our clients, but we're gonna be doing like a May shredding challenge, which is gonna be really fun. Our summer shredding, we like to do it every single year, but having these events that hold you accountable, that get you excited, whether it's a run, something you're training for, a competition with friends, a bet against yourself, it really will lock you into that event and get you more motivated. Even me going to Florida, I had an idea how I wanted my physique to look. I had an idea how I wanted my physique to look end of Florida. Here I'm focusing on putting on a little bit of muscle, and then I'm going to do a little bit more of a shred into the summer. And it's just nice having that plan. It's motivated seeing that come together. And we always like to say, as you see results, you'll get more and more addicted. It makes it that much easier to stay in lock and on top of it. And for the next one we have is to fuel your body with the best food possible. So I've switched a little bit from 80-20 to being more like 95-5 or maybe 90-10. I've just been loving eating incredible food. I find I've had more energy than ever. I'm sleeping better than ever. My skin just feels phenomenal. And I've just been craving cooking at home, really healthy food, lean proteins. I mean, just trying to have a ton of different foods that are high in fiber, potassium, all these incredible nutrients that I know are going to benefit me. So I've been experimenting just more and more with different fruits and vegetables and meals. And I can tell you that when you have a really good diet, we've all been there where we've had a great diet where we're not miserable, because you're going to feel more full when you're eating good foods. You can have way more food volume. If you're having very simple foods, very sugary, very processed, very unhealthy fatty foods, they're not going to fill you the same. Your body's going to burn through them quick. There's less nutritional value there. But when you're eating really well, you can feel more full. It can be easier to maintain to a diet and to shred down, as well as to have more energy so you can train hard, do your cardio, be active, do all these incredible things we've spoken about. So a great way to start is just to make an effort to say, am I doing 80-10? If I'm not, get there. Then you can push that and play at a level you're comfortable with. But trust me, by eating better foods, it's going to make a world of difference.
And next up is lift heavy and have zero fufu workouts. You know, fufu workout is when you go in there, there's no intensity, there's no intention. You're doing like way less than you actually could or you're actually capable of. I find a lot of people do this, and truthfully, one of the greatest investments you can make that will pay you back over and over again will be to strength train with some solid intensity and to actually push yourself almost to failure, but you're not exactly pushing failure, right? Leaving 2 to 3 reps left in the tank for the most part, sometimes 1 rep left in the tank, but aim for every single workout to have that intensity, to have intention, and to focus on having a productive, solid routine that you're following that's going to be getting you results that just gets you to the next level.
Number 7 is to follow motivating accounts. What inspires you? What encourages you? Is it someone screaming about how they're doing something absolutely insane in the day, or is it someone who's saying, I have all these obstacles and I'm still getting it done? Don't just follow people that aren't providing any value on Instagram, TikTok, podcast, whatever it is. Ask yourself what actually encourages you and builds you up. I can promise you, if you've listened to this episode and you've listened this far, you're the real deal. You're not someone who's just here to take 2 tips and leave. You have a great attention span and you want to be fitter, healthier, and happier. So I can say this to everyone who's still listening, because you're the real deal. You're making sure to finish these episodes to get the most from it and to get inspired. And that's what it's all about, is finding those accounts that will build you up, that aren't going to be peddling nonsense to you, that are going to be encouraging you in your journey, and that are most importantly motivating you. And if you're not already following us on Instagram, this is a fantastic opportunity to do that, because we're always posting valuable content. You can see more video-based content. We post workout tips, we post nutrition tips, we'll post bonus things of behind the scenes of the podcast. So if you haven't followed us already, make sure you do. Our Instagram, once again, is @ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. We're always doing giveaways amongst other incredible things. So if you're not following us there, you are missing out, and you're missing out on a great chance to get extra motivated and receive some bonus content. Once again, @ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. We'll also make it the first link of this episode, so it's nice and easy to access.
Awesome. And number 8 is just simply drinking more water. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, but it is so underrated. I think a lot of people just still struggle with it. I don't think it's underrated, but I just think it's hard for people to do. They just don't really remember, and like they're just like, you know, I'll get to it. And another kind of like 8.5 here is just to switch out all the water, or all the like the higher calorie, just like the not so great drinks, for water. Like, it's 0 calories. There's so many incredible benefits. It'll fill you up. It's one of the greatest things in the entire world. So I just really recommend keeping a water bottle by your side at all times, like I do 99% of the time, and you will thank yourself later.
Number 9, a unique tip to get shredded. So you'll notice this episode isn't like super hardcore, like you need to track your macro, like all the components of what you need to do to get shredded. These are more exciting bonuses you can do in your life to stay inspired and to get shredded and stay shredded. So I want to approach it from more of a unique approach. And just the same, you've heard us say it a gazillion times. I'm going to say it again, and that is to get more protein. But I'm going to rephrase it in a unique way, and that is to get more protein with each and every meal. When I eat out, I always like to say, okay, I'm going to enjoy this great food out, but how can I maximize my protein for this meal? It's so easy to fall behind on protein, especially if you don't have a high protein breakfast or high protein snacks. But with every meal, every snack, you can say, what's my protein source? How can I do this? And you notice trendier restaurants now, they always say, add your protein to this. And they're starting to impart that language as people are becoming more aware of it. But the more you make a habit of this, the more satiated you'll be, the more energized you'll be, the more muscle you'll be able to put on and keep. Protein is a very powerful nutrient, and just making this change and just starting to eat more protein, you'll notice your overall calories go down, the energy go up, the muscle level improve. So make sure you're making a point to maximize protein with each meal.
And number 10, wear clothing that's going to inspire you, especially if it's a little bit tighter. I do find that to be super motivating, and especially when it comes down to the gym, right? There's a lot of people out there wearing super baggy clothing, and if that works for you, that's totally awesome. But at the end of the day, I personally feel a little more inspired wearing maybe a tank top, you know, seeing the shreds kind of coming in and just using that as motivation. Gym clothing out there is definitely amazing because it can just leave you feeling your absolute best, and just even having that goal to just look even better in that piece of clothing that you're wearing, that can be incredible motivation to help you get shredded and feel your absolute best day to day.
Yeah, it's really motivating being in great clothing that fits fantastic. And I feel like a lot of what people used to do back in the days, they'd say, oh, I went up a belt size, I need to tighten it up. It can always be a good reminder, especially when you're wearing stuff that fits you. If you notice those pants getting a little bit tight, it can be a checking mechanism for you to say, okay, I'm going to buckle down, I'm going to get this going, I'm going to feel fantastic. And even in the gym, sometimes wearing less clothing is great. Instead of just wearing big t-shirts, if you're comfortable, it's not the worst thing in the world to wear a sports bra and be like, wow, I'm getting some abs, I'm getting some shoulder definition. Or even for me, I haven't had a stringer in a long time. I think stringers are a little bit ridiculous, but I got one that shows a little bit more of my back. It's a tank top, and I love it because I get to see like my back working as I work out. It motivates me to keep going, to see the unique different muscles working, to see new veins coming in. So this is a little bit of a unique tip you can definitely incorporate, and it's a really exciting one because it definitely does work. Whereas when you're not seeing it, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm not changing, I'm not looking good. But when you're in that mirror and you're like, oh, I'm looking good, you got that gym lighting going, does not hurt at all. So those are our 10 unique ways to shred down for summer. These are just bonus little tips. We have more tangible episodes on the actual process, calorie counting, how to work out, how to build a workout structure, all these incredible other things. So if you haven't gone through our library of episodes, please do. The old content is still fantastic. Dive into it. Make sure you're tuning in every Monday and Thursday. And once again, I want to remind you to make sure you follow us on Instagram at ColossusFit, or the first link in the description. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in with us today. Hope you have a fantastic day. Peace out.